Welcome back to First Horizons Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to the 36th Annual Andrew Johnson Bank Ladies Classic Recap Show. This is day 3. 9 more games to talk about. Once again, I'm your host, Tyler, joined here with Matthew Palazzo. Matthew, what a jam-packed day again. We had some upsets. We had some historic performances. We're on our way to seeing historical tournament runs. Today was the day that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. The first 2 days, you fill everything out. Everybody plays their first games. You advance to the winner's bracket. You get those quarterfinal games with some marquee matchups. And, man, did they deliver today.
And I think it spoke to great bracketology, great tournament seeding this season. And the first round matchups, a little lopsided, like we saw a lot of blowouts yesterday or 2 days ago on Saturday. But today, every single matchup except 2 close and games all the way into the fourth quarter, and several that went down to the final possession. Couldn't be more pleased with the play that we saw today from 7 of the 9 matchups. Just the stakes were there, and each and every game, it just felt like you were getting a slugfest and a heavyweight fight. That's exactly what you want in the Ladies Classic.
Yeah, I think out of the 9 games today, we had 4 that were double-digit margins, and one of those 4 was an 11-point game. So really, you had 6 of the 9 games were decided by 11 or less points, and unfortunately, 2 of those 3 were from our own county. But one of those games, it had to result in a loss and had to result in a win. So let's just start there. North Green and Chucky Doak, 2 teams that are in our coverage area, and both teams started the day. 9 a.m., bright and early. North Green comes out, immediately pressures Chucky Doak. Chucky Doak couldn't handle it. North Green up 18-6 after the first and ran away with the win. So we mentioned it on day 2. You really didn't expect to see much from either team. You don't want to show your hand too much because you're playing again on Friday. So what did you make of the first game today?
I think, like you said, the pressure from North Green just proved to be too much. Chucky Doak struggled to take care of the ball. And like you said, you're not going to see a lot when you play the team in less than 5 days. So a little handcuffed, I think, in the fireworks that we saw, but just a dominant outing by North Green defensively, and the Huskies rolled.
North Green will play Tennessee High on Wednesday at 9:30. Chucky Doak will finish up tomorrow on Tuesday at 9 a.m. against Cherokee. We'll cover each game in the back half and give you a preview of it, but also letting you know who they play in case you don't make it to the back half. Moving on after that, an early game that exceeded expectations. Alcoa versus Gaffney. Gaffney, a team that I believe came into the season undefeated, and as their own X page tweeted, they were humbled in East Tennessee. So coming out hungry today. Alcoa coming out hungry also after a aggravating loss yesterday, and the Lady Tornadoes were able to come out on top, but Gaffney made it interesting in the end. It ended up being a 6-point margin, and freshman Harper Stinnett, I mean, what a game. 24 points, 9 for 15 shooting, and 4 from 8 from behind the arc, and also had 6 rebounds. I mean, great game by Alcoa to get a win back after that tough defeat.
Great back-and-forth battle. 2.5 minutes left. Gaffney was leading 65-62. Alcoa would go on a 9-0 run
Correct.
to end the game, and they ended up getting the victory 71-65. And you touched on it, the freshman Harper Stinnett, the headliner from that matchup. But I want to touch on Shariah Harris for Gaffney. Exceptional minutes today, 24 points. Going to get overshadowed in the loss, but I thought she was phenomenal today.
And looking at some of her other stats too, 5 rebounds and 5 assists. I mean, those show up a lot too, and just how crucial she was to their success. And then Tiana Hopper, she finished with 14 points, 7 rebounds, 7 blocks, and 4 steals. Another great game by another Gaffney player, almost on par with another performance that we saw that we'll cover on the on the end of this recap portion. Alcoa moving on to play Cott County on Tuesday at 3 p.m., which will be a heavyweight matchup between 2 of the best 3A teams within the state. And then Gaffney will play J.O. Mann, kind of fitting that both teams in this year's tournament from South Carolina match up with each other. So moving on to the next one, you have Coalfield and North Hardin, as you mentioned right before we started recording. Physical matchup. Coalfield ends up coming out with the win and survived a late comeback attempt. The momentum swung back and forth each quarter. Coalfield led by 3 after the first. North Hardin led by 1 at the half, and then led by 2 at the end of 3. And then Coalfield ends up having their best scoring quarter. North Hardin has their lowest. So Coalfield showing up when it mattered most, like they did in Game 1 with Tennessee High.
And Lily Wright, another fantastic game, 26 points. She was big at the foul line for Coalfield, and that was a big theme in the latter half of the game for Coalfield. But Alana DeBose, another great night out of her. 22 points. She continues to be everything for that North Hardin offense. Still without its top player in Destiny Scott, but Coalfield looked great. Good to see the Yellow Jackets get back on top.
Yeah, and some other stats from Lily Wright also. 26 points, as you mentioned, 8 rebounds and 5 assists, and I believe this is her second 20-point game of the tournament so far. Coalfield might be a team that people overlook, but Lily Wright may definitely get an all-tournament honor with the way that she's playing. Moving forward to Game 4 of the day, Cott County and JL Man. Cott County, tough draw to begin the tournament. I mean, when you start out with Webb, it's always going to be a tough battle, and they were sent to the losers bracket and gave JL Man a 62-51 loss. Managed to distance themselves there at the end. Carmen Carmichael, 21 points on a very efficient 9 for 12, and then hauled in 14 rebounds for a double-double. Heck of a game by Carmichael to lead Lady Red to a win.
Yeah, great performance from her, and Hellstock, another good outing, but just not enough in the end. Cott County just felt like they just strong-armed JL Man at times today. By far the better team, and they just clicked, and it was good to see them bounce back after that tough physical first-round loss against a good Webb School team to come back and get that win today. But you saw how good Cott County can be.
And then Cott County moves on, as we mentioned, to play Alcoa at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. And then JL Man and Gaffney, both South Carolina teams, noon on Tuesday. Moving forward, Game 5, a game that a lot of people probably didn't expect to be as good as it was, and I'll even admit it myself. After 4 games, I was kind of getting fatigued of basketball. Went to the car to chill, charged my phone a little bit, skipped out on that game. I walk in, and I think it's late in the fourth quarter, and Morristown West has a late lead, and then Spring Valley erased a 7-point deficit like that and ends the game on a 16-8 run to finish on top 71-70. Janiyah Mitchell has a chance to win it at the end, just couldn't get the shot to fall. But if you're the Lady Trojans, that was a very well executed plan, not to be overlooked, because it was ran, I think, exactly how they drew it up, got it down to her, the shot just didn't fall. But credit to both teams for playing hard in a terrific matchup that surprised most.
Yeah. And you feel bad for Morristown West. 2 losses in this tournament by a combined 11 points. Mitchell shines once again. But Spring Valley, we talked about Sophie Hutchison, 28 points in this one. She was spectacular. And I found myself like you, kind of fatigued a little bit in that middle part of the day. But then you look up and it's a game in that entire second half was nip and tuck. And then you finally see Morristown West, come back and make it a game late, and Spring Valley able to make that defensive stand there, but inches away from a game winner from Janiyah Mitchell. It was a fantastic finish.
Something cool about this also, the score was tied after each quarter.
Yeah,
17-17, 36-36, 53-53. Almost felt like the 49ers and the Bears on Sunday Night Football. But West began the fourth on a 9-2 run, and then Spring Valley finished on a 16-8 run. And speaking of Sophie Hutchinson, she also finished with 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 steals. Another player that just stuffed the stat sheet. And then not to overlook Brooklyn Ellis, 20 points and 9 rebounds, and then Janiyah Mitchell, 22 points and 9 rebounds and blocked 4 shots. So 3 terrific performances. Spring Valley will play Coalfield on Tuesday at 1:30. Morristown West will play North Hardin on 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday. On to the winners bracket side. The games that everybody were anticipating the most, Jim started to fill up a little bit more, mainly because our hometown Lady Green Devils were the first ones up in the winners bracket. Had a chance to avenge that earlier loss at the beginning of the season in their first game with Bearden, but it didn't go their way. Bearden ends up taking it 85-57, and Natalia Hodge, what a player.
Yeah.
You can't say much more. I mean, you can say much more, but just simply put, what a player. 31 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals, and she led the Lady Bulldogs to another win.
And this is our 3rd year seeing her starting, and it's fresh every time we see her. She continues to do insane things with the basketball in her hands. She is the fastest, most athletic player on the court. Her vision and her basketball IQ is so far above, it feels like everybody else. But I want to shout out Emma Rainey. She had a great game today.
Yes, she did.
And want to touch further on Bearden, because Greenville Falls, right, but Bearden today looked like the best team in the tournament. They were clicking on all cylinders. They connect on 10 3-pointers, and it felt like from 1 through 5, just outsized Greenville, out-physical Greenville, and we're just a faster, better team in all facets of the game. And I feel like that could go for any team in this year's crop. Bearden looked that good today. I feel like they could win it all with just their performance today.
And looking at Natalia Hodge, we have single game individual records, single game team records, tournament team records, and then I believe another one somewhere that I skipped over, but we don't have career records in the tournament. Natalia Hodge has been a very efficient scorer every single year that she's been a part of the Ladies Classic. I'm sure we could ask some people to go back and look, but she's probably up there somewhere towards the top for most career points here in the Andrew Johnson Bank Ladies Classic, because back-to-back 30-point games now. She, I think, has already definitely earned herself a spot on that all-tournament team, because now Bearden will go into the semifinals now and play their Knox County counterpart in Grace Christian that we'll mention here in just a minute. But to touch on Greenville too, talking about them a little bit more, since of course they are our hometown Lady Green Devils. Briley Tulloch and Maria Lyde each finished with 16 points. Tulloch had 10 rebounds and finished with a double-double. You get a good win. I think 2 good wins to end the Doc Maples tournament, a good win with North Hart, and you have a 3-game winning streak going there, and then Bearden steps in front of you. But I've talked with Coach Watts before. You can't lose confidence in a loss like that. Yes, you look up at the scoreboard and you can look back later and see a 28-point margin, but at the same time, you're playing a team in Bearden that may very well go on to win the state championship at the 4A level. So you've got to move on and be able to correct that loss in your next game now with a very, very, very talented, I believe, Albertville team.
Yeah, and tough earned points tonight for Maria. Theola Mills, great defender, great rebounder into paint. So she had a tough assignment today, and Briley too, going up against that tough Bearden backcourt. So for them to get to those totals today, it was a lot harder than normal, but credit to them despite the loss.
And let's talk about the game of the day.
Yeah, game of the day.
The game of the day, the game of the tournament so far, and that was game number 20 between Upperman and Farmington. Game number 7 on the day. Took us 7 games to finally get to it. The sun went down before we finally got to see some absolute fireworks, but man, Upperman with the upset. I think a lot of people from Baxter probably wouldn't call it an upset, because that's what they always expect from their Lady Bees. But as everybody coming in, seeing Farmington, a team that had 1 loss last year that was here at the Ladies Classic, won the state championship in Arkansas at 5A, and come into this game with possibly the best player. And head coach Dana McWilliams cuts them up and coaches it perfectly, and coaches Upperman to a 54-51 win. Not saying I called it the other night on Sunday, but I said if there was one of the 3 coaches that I believe could shut that player down, it was Dana McWilliams, and what a win by Upperman.
And one of the most entertaining finishes to a game you will ever see. That 2.5-minute stretch, it felt like 30, and it felt like every time Upperman would pull ahead by 5, McCullough comes down, she hits a 3, they're back within 2, they foul, Upperman hits 2 foul shots, McCullough goes down and scores again. Time in, time out, she'd make those tough shots, and shots that we have never seen before. A bank from the, I say a bank, Tyler says it wasn't a bank, I say it's a bank. One of the most incredible shots you will ever see to pull it to a 2-point game. But Upperman, like you said, takes the risk. They triple team Easton McCullough on the final inbounds play. They miss the shot. Upperman survives. They advance. But what a game.
I wish we could see a good view of that, but we weren't able to. But looking at something that I also have down here, Farmington led 1 time all game.
Wow.
If you listen to everybody in the gym, it felt like a lot of people were pulling for Farmington because Easton McCullough is so talented and so entertaining to watch. But Farmington led once all game. Upperman started out up, I believe, 3-0. Farmington scores 3-2, and then they extend their lead. And the only time Farmington led was at 46, 45, something around that area, was the only time they led all game in the 4th quarter. And then Upperman takes the lead back, and that's when it gets down to free throws. And then the absolute insanity began whenever she hits that 3. And then they have a shot to win the game. And let's talk about that final play, because if you want to talk about a head coach making a gutsy call, look no further than what Dana McWilliams did on the final inbounds. I believe 5 seconds left. Farmington down 3. You know, and everybody in this gym knows who is getting the ball. They see her go out to the right, triple team. When you triple team right there, you are leaving 4 other players out there to be defended by 2. It's 4-on-2 in a 3-point game, and they get a wide open look, as good of a look as you could have gotten, and it doesn't go in, and they survive and win. What a gutsy call to decide we're going to triple team, or not double like everybody expected, a triple team.
And it's the risky run, too,
Yes.
right? And you gave up the shot from the corner. It's a great shot for Farmington. It just doesn't go in, but the risk pays off for Coach McWilliams. And in a three-point game, I'd say, go for it, right? Because you're playing the three-point line. You're playing, obviously, their best three-point shooter in McCullough. Obviously, denying her the ball when you go in, force somebody else to beat you. That's what Upperman did. They survived. They hold on.
And looking at their leading scorer, Taylor Delente, scoring 16. She was a perfect 8 for 8 at the free throw line. And then Easton McCullough, who was felt like she was shut down for the longest amount of time, but 25 points on a very efficient 9 for 13 night with 4 assists and 5 steals. You almost wonder how good of a game she could have had.
7 threes, too.
Yeah, if she forced some shots and shot up to 20. But Upperman advanced to Tuesday semifinals to play Daniel Boone, who we'll talk about in just a second. Farmington will play Webb. Upperman and Daniel Boone, 9 p.m. in the main event on Tuesday. Farmington and Webb will play at 6 p.m. Going forward now to our co-main event, Grace Christian and Albertville. Another very good game. Grace Christian had it in control the whole entire time, but the lead never grew more than 9. It never got to double digits. Grace Christian was always able to handle it. And one player that I leaned over and mentioned to our very own Johnny Painter that's been a very underrated player in this tournament is Nia Burns. Nia wasn't the leading scorer. That was Abby Roberts. She led all scorers with a game-high 27. But Nia just being a floor general out there, maybe the best passing that we've seen out of this tournament. But Grace Christian, 55-50 win. They move on to the semis now.
Yeah, in a game that I got to call tonight, it was so closely contested, and it felt like Grace Christian couldn't distance themselves enough despite how well they played. And off-night shooting for Lainey Smallwood, she didn't get going until the fourth quarter. And Albertville overall just couldn't put the ball in the hoop sometimes. But they played great defense down the stretch. They stayed in the basketball game, and they let themselves in at the end of the game. But Grace Christian able to go down. Key free throws from Abby Roberts, who played a very great game today. And that was all she wrote as Grace Christian moved on to the semifinals.
Yeah, and then looking at Albertville, as we mentioned, freshman Whitley Booker led them with 16 points on 7 for 11 shooting. Lainey Smallwood having a rough night, only 12 points on 5 for 20 shooting, but she also corralled 8 rebounds. And then Grace Christian will move on to square off against Bearden at 7:30 in tomorrow's other semifinal game. And then Albertville will play the Greenville Lady Green Devils, as we mentioned, at 4:30. And let's talk about the main event now. The game that everybody had their eyes on that we talked about was the game to look out for, and that was Daniel Boone and Knox Webb. Did it turn out to be the game that everybody expected? I don't believe so. I think if you would have taken a poll from everybody that walked through a door today at Hal Henard Gymnasium, they would have probably favored Knox Webb a little bit, just knowing that they're the defending Division II champions. But Boone showing why they're one of the best, not only 3A teams in the state, but just teams in the state of Tennessee.
And just an all-around team effort today from Boone. And I say team, 3 players with 20-plus points. That's the definition of well-rounded scoring. A off-night shooting the basketball for Webb, but not to take any credit away from Boone. Probably played the best game of their entire season today. They were fantastic. Offensive output for them. And that's a Knox Webb team that holds opponents to under 45 a game regularly. And Boone puts up 70 a game regularly, but coming into the game, I thought that Webb would have the stylistic favor because their defense was going to be so good. Their defense was good. Boone made some incredible shots, some incredible plays. Aaliyah Story, of course, leading the way, but my goodness, so much to unfold from that game.
We'll talk about each player and then talk about Aaliyah Story, because Aaliyah Story is truly having one of the greatest performances we've ever seen in the Andrew Johnson Bank Ladies Classic. 36 years, and I don't know if we've seen a performance as great as she's having all around. But you have 3 20-point scores, which I was looking for because we almost seen it in Greenville's game 2 nights ago, and we do see it here with Daniel Boone. Lainey Britton leading the way with 22 points, 4 of 8 from 3, and then you have Andrea Flores having a tougher night shooting, but still gets to the line a lot and has 20 points with 7 rebounds and 6 assists. And then you have Aaliyah Story. Brace yourself. 21 points on 9 for 13 shooting, 17 rebounds, back-to-back 17 rebound games, back-to-back 21-point games. and then she ties the single game record for blocks in Ladies Classic history with 9 blocks. What a performance.
And I said it on the broadcast too, from last year seeing her play at Davy Crockett to the evolution that she's had, and it's really what it's been this season. It goes to show you how great of a coaching staff surrounds her at this new place in Daniel Boone High School. She's been there 1 year, and she's putting up these insane numbers. She looks like a night and day different player from the Aaliyah story we saw from a year ago. And talking with some other people, the same can and likely be inferred from them as well. The improvement, it cannot go overstated. Chattanooga is getting an absolute gem, and she is so much fun to watch. And she is faster, and she was stronger, and she's a better scorer. Everything in her game is improved, and that makes her one of the most exciting players in this year's tournament.
And looking at her numbers too, she's had back-to-back 17 rebound games, I believe now, which I think puts her at 34 rebounds. The record for single tournament performances, I believe, is 61. Halfway there. She's at 14 blocks. The tournament record in a single run is 27.
Yeah,
halfway there. She won't get the points unless she just absolutely goes off and has back-to-back 50-point games. But you have 2 records right there that are in reach. And she's already set 1 record today, tying for most blocks in a single game. So she's truly having one of the greatest runs that we've ever seen here in this tournament's history.
So much fun to watch. The way she runs the floor, it's a sight to behold. I mean, all 6'3" of her just running full pelt down the floor. Nobody can defend that, not even the best bigs in this tournament.
She's going coast
faster
to
than
coast.
any forward that we've seen, and she's bigger and stronger than most other ones too. So just a hard player to defend, and like I said, just so much fun to watch.
That's all we have on the recap, though. We'll go ahead and get a quick break in, and then we'll talk about each game that you can expect to see on Tuesday and what we can expect to see in those games. So join us right after this quick break here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Family owned, community loved. More than ink and paper, it's precision. Performance. And pride in every project. Always on time, expertly equipped, locally owned. And something new is on the way. Ready for your next big project? Artistic Printers, where quality meets creativity.
You get what you'd expect. Games, gimmicks, and shady sales tactics. At Gateway Nissan in Greenville, expect the unexpected. Low prices, convenient service, and a great buying experience.
Get our Gateway exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty.
No worries for life.
You deserve the unexpected. It's the #1 reason you gotta get to Gateway.
Shop online at GatewayNissanGreenville.com.
Or take the super short drive down Highway 11E to Gateway Nissan in Greenville.
In a world that moves fast, there's a place that slows down for good food and good company, where the folks know your name and the food's made from scratch, just like Grandma used to do it. Steak and gravy every day, Friday night fish fry, and prime rib on Saturdays. Burgers stacked high and sides you'll talk about till next Thursday. And yes, save room for the scratch-made desserts, especially that Heath Bar Gooey. Gathering Place Cafe, homemade, hometown, Greenville's favorite scratch-made table.
At Marathon Quick Stop Markets, you'll find a company that realizes that our customers are our biggest assets. We are a locally owned company, proud to serve our community. So we do everything with you in mind. We clean and sanitize our stores, provide a well-lit, monitored area to keep you and your family safe. You can always expect a friendly staff and a large selection of products with weekly specials. Stop in at a nearby Marathon Quick Stop Market today.
This holiday season, give the gift of glow with Merle Norman Cosmetics. Discover our new shades of natural lip oil and lip pencil plus, perfect for creating timeless holiday looks. Explore our beautiful new gift sets ready to make everyone on your list feel special. For over 90 years, Merle Norman has been inspiring beauty across generations. Locally and female-owned and operated, you're more than a customer, you're the heart of what we do. Merle Norman Cosmetics, where beauty feels like home. 819 Tusculum Boulevard in Eastgate Shopping Center.
Tommy's Plumbing has been in business for 30 years, and we're still growing because we treat our customers like family. We are proud to do any job from kitchen faucet installation to a complete home repipe. Tommy's Plumbing offers warranties on most products installed by our technicians. When the job is done, our friendly professionals make sure to clean up. We invite you to visit our new showroom in Jonesboro to see our quality products for yourself. Tommy's is the only one to call when you need a fast, reliable, professional plumber in the Tri-Cities.
Welcome back to First Horizons Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to the 36th annual Andrew Johnson Bank Ladies Classic Recap Show. If you missed day 3's action, go back to the latter part and view all of that. We'll review or preview every game. In day 4, I'm Tyler, joined here with Matthew Palazzo once again, looking at Thursday's games, and we get Tuesday's games. I'm everywhere in this first part, but
me too.
We'll get there. A lack of sleep. Need to go home. Need to go to bed. Looking at it now, we're moving into the semifinals. Let's just go into those first. We'll go through every game in order after this, but looking at the semis first, which everybody are going to show up for at 7:30 and 9 o'clock. You've got Grace Christian and Bearden playing, two Knoxville area teams, two, of course, of the best teams that we've seen so far with a few of the best players. Expect nothing less than a tough physical game with Grace Christian trying to use their tough defense to limit Bearden's high scoring.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, Bearden looks like the most complete team in the tournament now, but I said that about Grace Christian 2 nights ago. So to me, that's the best 1-2 matchup that you could pick in the top side of that bracket. That's going to be an extremely fun game to witness, and like you said, it goes to the Grace Christian defense against the Bearden offense type of matchup, and that is going to be almost like the Boone and Webb game we saw tonight in a sense, because you have one team that's used to putting up 70 points regularly, one team that's used to holding teams under 50. We'll see who comes out on top.
And then looking at Grace Christian, they've scored 55, 63, and 55. Not really blown it out of the water, but held their opponents to 53, 48, and 50. That's around 50 a game right there. And then you look at Bearden scoring 80 and 85 in back-to-back games. Another stat, the 85-point game against Greenville today tied Boone yesterday with 85 for the highest single game so far this year. So that's definitely going to be one of those where you ask yourself at the beginning, does Grace Christian's defense win this game, or does Bearden's offense win this game? Natalia Hodge might be the best player in the tournament. She's had back-to-back 30-point games. Obviously, you expect her to shoot a high volume of shots, but I'll be interested to see who Grace Christian puts on her and who guards. Are we going to see the Nia Burns-Natalia Hodge matchup? That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Great matchups, not only Burns and Hodge, but you also have Rainey against Roberts.
Yes.
Very similar players, very close to the things that they are able to do and the things that their teams ask them to do. 3-and-D defenders, both Rainey and Roberts. So, like I said, that one's going to be neck and neck, I'm sure, but we'll see who wins. Better offense, better defense. It'll be a fun one.
And then looking at the other one at 9 p.m., Boone and Upperman. Literally a potential Class 3A state championship game later on this year between Boone and Upperman. And what's crazy, another one that we'll talk about later between Cott County and Alcoa is another potential Class 3A state championship matchup. But Boone and Upperman, you've got maybe the most complete team. I know you mentioned Bearden, but Boone, the way they played today against Webb, looked to me like the most complete team. And then you've got Upperman, who look like they may be the best coached team out there. So another stylistic matchup that I'm looking forward to, with Boone having all three legit scorers that can score. And then let's not forget, I mean, you've got another D1 talent out there that's on that team. Of course, you've got Andrea Flores, Aaliyah Story, and Lainey Britton, who had 20-point games today, but you've also got Ella Wilson, who signed to play at Milligan. So, I mean, you have some talent on that Boone squad. You can't say the same about Upperman, but what you can say about Upperman is they will be ready to play, and they will be prepared after film and after a day of preparation.
Yeah, and you said earlier, Upperman, you had the most confidence in shutting down a single player. The problem is with Boone, you have 3 different players, maybe more to worry about. So
yeah.
How do you attack those top players for Boone? It'll be interesting to see how Coach McWilliams defends them. After Boone has put up, you talked about Bearden put up 85 and 80.
Yeah.
Boone's put up some high totals as well, and they look like the best offense in this year's tournament.
And then looking at some other games throughout the day, of course, those 2 semifinal games are the ones that everybody's going to pay attention to. Don't really have a schedule out in front of us to look at who teams play at what times, but I'll go through here and try to do it as best as possible. I mentioned that tomorrow we open up with Cherokee and Chucky Doak at 9 a.m. I believe you mentioned that you will be on the call for that game, 95.5 WSMG. So go ahead and tell us what you expect tomorrow when they take the floor against each other for the second time this year.
Right, second time, we'll see what improvements Chucky Doak can make. Can they take care of the ball a bit better than they have the first 2 games of the tournament? Does Kennedy Deal play for Cherokee? If not, does she have a big game like she did the first matchup between Chucky Doak and Cherokee? We'll see. We'll really want to see Coach Early's crew put an inspired effort together for what would be their last game of the tournament.
And then looking at the 10:30 game following that, you've got Morristown West and North Hardin. 2 very physical teams. Morristown West, of course, seems like the bigger team in that one. North Hardin, of course, their post player out with an injury. So Janiyah Mitchell, she may look to feast in that game.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. 2 very similar teams as far as talent profile is concerned, and I think that one might be the closest one we've seen in that early slate. Should be a fantastic matchup.
And then following that, you've got Gaffney and J.L. Mann, both South Carolina teams, as we mentioned. Probably going to be the shortest preview we have because they're 2 teams that we, of course, really don't know as much about, and we've watched them play, of course. They have talented players, but J.L. Mann and Gaffney, kind of the battle for South Carolina tomorrow here in East Tennessee.
Absolutely. Just excited to see Hailstock play another and Shariah play again for Gaffney. 2 of the best players, most underrated players against each other.
Then moving on here, we've got Spring Valley out of West Virginia playing Coalfield at 1:30 p.m. Pretty interesting game because Spring Valley is a team that I didn't get to watch their first game. I've only seen them once. Coalfield, I've seen them a handful of times, I believe, in every game they've played so far. And Coalfield, very talented 1A team, of course, I believe ranked on, according to Max Preps, as the second best Class 1A team in the state, and they take on a North Hardin team tomorrow, or I'm sorry, a Spring Valley team tomorrow that has some talent. So Coalfield looking to finish this strong and get 3 wins out of the Ladies Classic this year.
Yeah, and you could see Spring Valley taking some strides. A lot of games canceled early due to snow, but finally found that groove, that rhythm that they've been missing today against Morristown West. And I'll just say this, expect a lot of 3s to fall. It's going to be one with a ton combined between the Lady Jackets and the Lady Timberwolves.
3 o'clock. What a game we've got between Cott County and Alcoa. Another game, like I mentioned, could potentially be a Class 3A state championship game or just a Class 3A state tournament game later on in the year at the Glass House in Murfreesboro. You've got the Lady Red taking on the Lady Tornadoes, 2 fantastic teams with a lot of great talent and great coaching. That's one of the ones, probably the best, I'll say second most anticipated losers bracket game tomorrow.
Yeah, should be a fun one. Lady Red, Lady Tornadoes. I've got to call both of those teams this tournament, and they're both very similar style of teams, you know, and like you said, potential 3A state tournament preview, so a lot of people looking forward to that one.
I think a lot of people throughout the state might pay attention to that one too, along with Boone and Upperman, because you've got 4 of the best 3A teams throughout the state playing each other tomorrow. And then after that game at 4:30, we'll have Albertville and Greenville High School. Greenville High School, of course, will be attempting to stop Albertville and Laney Smallwood after a disappointing game for her and a disappointing game for the Lady Green Devils. And a lot of times we see Coach Annette Watts really put in a lot of extra effort, and the Lady Devils play with a more inspired attitude after a loss. So looking to not go out on a 2-game losing streak here in the Ladies Classic. So I'm interested to see what we'll get from Greenville tomorrow.
Yeah, and Albertville already on the season 0 for 2 against Tennessee teams, so you know that's a beckoning call and some added motivation for them. Keynote, Laney Smallwood, I believe, is 12 or 13 rebounds away from 1,000 career rebounds. Mississippi State signee, last year 7A Player of the Year in Alabama. She's a special talent, held in check today, but would be looking to get her going probably more so tomorrow against Greenville. So something I'm sure Coach Watts knows, something that Coach Smallwood of Albertville is going to be looking to get her daughter more involved.
And it would be cool to see Laney get that here in Tennessee in our very own tournament. But for the Lady Devils' sake, hope that's not the case.
Right. Well, she's got 2 more games. She'll get the 1,000.
Actually, she's got 1. If she loses, then that's it.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
So if she loses, she won't get it. But if she does get it, that means one of 2 things: either A, Greenville will have lost and she will have another opportunity, or B, Greenville will be missing a lot of shots.
Right.
So don't want to see either there. Would love to see her get it, but hope it's not at Greenville's expense. And then moving on to the last game that we've talked about, the one that I was referring to is probably the most anticipated losers bracket game, Knox Webb and Farmington, 2 teams that I think people expected to be here in the semifinals,
myself included,
instead of here fighting for a possible chance to play in the 5th place game. Absolute bonkers. Day 3 today was incredible. We saw 2 teams lose that a lot of people expected to be in the semis. We're still going to get to see Webb and Farmington. It's just not in the winners bracket side. What a treat we're in for tomorrow when Webb takes the floor against Farmington, when you've got maybe 2 of the best players in Mia Green and Easton McCullough squaring off against each other.
Certainly 2 of the top 3 players in this year's tournament, and a lot of people are going to be looking at that game after the performance that she put up today. Knox Webb, bad shooting night tonight, so how do they respond? No, Coach Hernandez is going to get the best out of his girls. They're not going to have 2 bad performances in a row. But Farmington, another team that can light up that scoreboard, similar to Daniel Boone, how does that matchup play out for really a second time in 2 days with Knox Webb facing a hot shooting team in Farmington?
But those are all the games that we've got on tap for you on Tuesday. The only one we did not mention that will be contested on Wednesday morning is, of course, you've got North Green and Tennessee High. That game will be at 9:30 to start the day on Wednesday, but won't talk about that game and go into the future too much. We'll talk about that one maybe on the day 4 recap, but that's all we got. Let's go home and let's get some sleep because it's currently 11:45 and 9 a.m. will come sooner than we expect. That's all we got. Anything else you got to add?
All Tennessee semifinal. First time in some time.
Yes. I forgot to mention that. It was in my brain for, I think, 2 times through that, but it just slipped my mind. But for the first time since 2022, I believe, we've got an all-Tennessee semis.
And we'll crown a new champ with Marist no longer.
That's correct. Marist pretty much ran roughshod through everybody the last few years. So we're guaranteed to see the trophy stay within Tennessee. Will it go to Bearden? Will it go to Grace Christian Academy? Will it go to Daniel Boone? Will it go to Upperman? It'll go to one of those 4 teams, and we'll find out who 2 of the 4 that will play for it will be on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. But closing the book today on day 3, on to day 4 tomorrow. Check it out. If you can't come out, you can listen to it. You can listen to all the games on the Jewel 95.5 WSMG. We'll have everybody on the call tomorrow, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Matthew, Brian, Bobby, Jim, and David.
That's right.
But that's all we got today. Thank you all once again for joining us here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.